7,000 islands, 81 provinces, and one country that keeps its creepiest secrets just off the beaten path. I've chased fireflies in Palawan, surfed Siargao at dawn, but tonight I'm standing at the edge of a forest locals refuse to enter after sunset. They say the trees here grow taller after midnight, that voices echo back in a language no one taught you, and that if you follow the wrong trail, you won't come back the same, if you come back at all. Welcome to the side of the Philippines the postcards never show. I left Manila before the traffic even thought about waking up and hit the trailhead by 6. The air was already thick with dew and something else, something sweet, like wilted sampaguita. My guide, Kuya Rodel, pressed a thumb-sized piece of ginger into my hand. "Not for your throat," he said, his voice low. "For your scent. If she likes you, she'll let you pass." The she, he meant of course, was Mariang Makiling, the legendary Dewata who rules this ridge. Scientists call the peak a dormant stratovolcano. Storytellers with far more poetry call it her throne. Locals whisper of shadowy figures, strange lights, and ghostly whispers that drift through the ancient trees, all part of her watchful presence. Halfway up, every bird call stopped at once. The forest went utterly silent. Rodel froze, his eyes scanning the dense foliage. Somewhere to our left, a woman laughed, clear, single, no echo. It wasn't menacing, but it hung in the air, a bell tone in the sudden quiet. We waited 10 heartbeats, then 20. Nothing moved. When the cicadas finally restarted their symphony, Rodel exhaled so hard I felt the air shift around me. Later, at the summit, he pointed to a clump of dwarf bamboo bent into a perfect, impossible circle. "She dances here," he whispered, a hint of reverence in his tone. I checked my watch. We'd lost 37 minutes in that silence. Down in the city, people blame traffic for lost time. Up here, they blame the lady in white who smells like ginger flowers and subtly asks if you've been good to the mountain. I left her a small, intricately woven bracelet, more for my peace of mind than hers. On the descent, I felt watched, but not threatened, more like being audited by a really polite ghost, making sure you're following all the rules. A 50-minute flight south and one rickety ferry later, Siquijor rises out of the Mindanao Sea like a green mirage. The tourism board now brands it the Island of Healing, a glossy rebrand, but tricycle drivers still call it Witch Island when no officials are listening. It's a place steeped in mystical culture, home to folk healers and shamans who practice a blend of ancient herbal medicine and spiritual rituals. They say Mangkukulam witches still walk these shores, wielding powers both light and dark. I checked into a cottage made of coral stone and asked the owner where to find the real practitioners, not just the weekend tarot readers. She scribbled one word on my map: Lazi, Thursday, moon up. Thursday was 3 nights away. I used the time to circle the coastal road on a rented scooter, feeling the island's pulse. Every dusk, the 400-year-old enchanted balete tree in Campolanas becomes a living theater. Dozens of fish surface in the spring beneath its gargantuan roots. Villagers light oil lamps, and a man named Lolo Emman chants in a mix of Cebuano and Latin while dipping his feet in the water. Tourists clap when the fish nibble his toes. Locals cross themselves, a quiet acknowledgement of the deeper magic at play. Lolo Emman chanting in Cebuano and Latin, audible ambience.
On the appointed Thursday, I rode inland past sugarcane fields until the asphalt surrendered to gravel. A woman in a yellow turban waved me down, her eyes sharp. "You're late," she said, though I was 10 minutes early. Her house smelled of burnt molasses and lemongrass, a potent, earthy aroma. Inside, she laid out a bamboo tray with candles, seeds, and a single chicken egg. Without a word, she rolled the egg across my forearms, a smooth, cool pressure, humming a tune I half remembered from my grandmother's lullabies. It felt like an ancient current passing through me. When the egg stood upright on its own, defying gravity, she nodded once. "You carry someone else's tiredness. Time to give it back." She cracked the egg into a bowl of water. The yolk sank, but the white formed a perfect heart, then slowly dissolved. I felt no thunderbolt, no dramatic shift, just a slow, almost imperceptible unclenching in my chest I hadn't even noticed was clenched. She refused payment, asking only that I plant 2 malave seedlings on the hillside, a small act of reciprocity. Riding back under a half moon, the scooter's engine sounded different, lighter, like it had been tuned while I wasn't listening. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Either way, the scooter now gets 5 kilometers more per litre. Draw your own conclusions.
From Sequajor, I hopped northeast, 3 buses and 1 pump boat to the Mindanao mainland. Hinatuan's river looks photoshopped even in person. A sapphire pool so clear you can count the tilapia vertebrae 20 feet down. It's famously crystal clear, with a vibrant blue hue that seems impossible. Every noon a bell rings and swimmers must exit while rangers toss rice into the center. The surface then boils with fish, hundreds of them, like living silver. I asked the ranger why the fish only feed at noon. "Ranger, they have a schedule." Ranger shrugs, finger to lips. At 12:03, a tourist slipped and plunged his phone into the depths. The ranger dived and retrieved the handset, but the video file was gone. Only audio remained. Ethereal choir singing unintelligible syllables. That night, I camped on the boardwalk. Around 2 a.m., the river glowed for 3 seconds like a black light beneath the surface. A nearby fisherman froze, cigarette halfway to his lips. We never spoke of it. Last stop, The Rock. Corregidor, a silent, stoic sentinel, guarded Manila Bay through 3 colonial eras and 1 brutal war. It's an island steeped in the spirits of soldiers who fought and died there. The Malinta Tunnel, once a hospital, bomb shelter, and last stand, is considered one of the most haunted spots in the country. Today, guides run a light and sound show inside. Mannequins in khaki, recorded screams, timed strobe flashes. It's campy until the generator hiccups and the sudden, oppressive dark feels 50 years older, heavy with unspoken history. My guide, Tita Mercy, carried a vintage flashlight that once belonged to her father, an American nurse captured in 1942. Halfway through the lateral, the bulb popped. Just like that. No backup. She kept talking, her voice steady, as if darkness were just another tourist to navigate. Then footsteps approached, measured, booted, way too loud for the 5 of us in the group, too distinct for just an echo. Mercy called out, her voice clear. "We're heading out now, thank you." The footsteps stopped. A cold draft swept past, carrying a faint, acrid smell of cordite I recognized from old gun museums. When we emerged into the humid air, Mercy showed me her forearm, fresh goosebumps in 90-degree heat. "He's polite," she said, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. "He waits for us to leave." I asked who. She pointed to a faded photo on the tunnel wall, a smiling medic offering water to a wounded soldier. Same chin, same dimple as Mercy. "That's Dad," she whispered. "He hated unfinished rounds. Always wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of." I scanned the tunnel schedule. The next tour starts every hour, on the hour, precisely. No one ever waits inside between groups. Yet some employees swear they hear the generator restart 30 seconds before the next batch arrives. Like someone prepping the stage, ensuring the show goes on. Mercy kisses 2 fingers and taps the photo every shift. "Keeps him calm," she says. I tried it before boarding the ferry back. Felt silly, then felt something else. Gratitude maybe, a quiet understanding. War ends, treaties get signed, but grief doesn't surrender on schedule. If you've ever felt a place watch you back, hit subscribe and ride shotgun while I chase more stories that refuse to file neatly under coincidence. Drop a comment telling me which of these spots you'd dare visit, or which local mystery I should cover next. Back in the capital, I took a tricycle to Paco Cemetery just after closing. The guard shook his head until I mentioned Margarita Miguel. He let me in with a warning. Out before the streetlights buzz. Built in 1820 as Manila's municipal graveyard, a final resting place for countless souls, including many victims of the 1800s cholera epidemic, its circular walls now house a botanical garden by day, and, as I was about to discover, ghost stories by night. Margarita was a socialite who tragically died of cholera days before her wedding. Locals claim she walks the rotunda in a blood-splattered gown, forever waiting for a groom who, in a cruel twist of fate, married her sister instead. I wandered the upper balcony, voice recorder on, the twilight deepening around me. At 7:18 p.m., my phone battery, which had been a solid 60%, dropped to 0. Then came the scent. Sampaguita mixed with candle wax, growing stronger as I reached the inner dome. No flowers in sight, just the lingering, spectral perfume. I asked the standard, slightly ridiculous question, "Margarita, are you here?" and felt stupid until the recorder spat a soft static pulse shaped like syllables. Hinte, Filipino for wait. I played it back twice, my blood running cold. The guard crossed himself. We left before the lights buzzed. Outside, my phone booted normally, battery miraculously at 59%. I checked the audio file. Silence, except for my own breathing. I set out to uncover the Philippines' most mysterious destinations and ended up somewhere simpler, yet profoundly complex. In the gap between what we can measure and what we choose to believe. Whether it's a mountain that steals minutes, a river that sings underwater, an island that heals engines, a tunnel that salutes, or a cemetery that whispers one word, each place offered the same quiet dare: trust the story, or at least respect it. Science can chart fault lines and salinity levels, giving us the tangible map. But stories? Stories chart us. They tell us who we were, who we are, and who we're still becoming. The Philippines hands you both maps. You decide which one gets folded into your pocket. Me, I'm keeping both. Because sometimes the most honest measurement is a heartbeat that skips when the lights flicker. And sometimes the only GPS you need is the goosebump that says, "Pay attention." If you've got your own local legend that keeps you awake, share it below. Who knows? Maybe the next ticket I book is to your hometown, recorder in hand, ginger in pocket, heart braced for the moment the world tilts 2 degrees left of normal. Until then, stay curious, stay kind to mountains, and if you hear 3 knocks at 3 a.m., maybe don't open the door right away.